Welcome everyone. We're now joined by Ali from the New Wardrobe and by Zinzi from the Swedish Stockings, and we're about to have a little conversation with them about their brands and what brought them into sustainable fashion as part of our walk-in wardrobe. So to start, please Ali, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and yes, what are your passions and what drives you?
Yeah, big question.
I know.
So, I'm Ali, obviously, and is it worth me describing what the New Wardrobe is
do,
first?
yes.
So, I'll be sitting over there later if you want to come and chat to me, but it's a clothes sharing app. So we basically are trying to recirculate the clothes that we have in our wardrobes that we love but don't actually wear that often. So it works like a social network. You can put up clothes and put up photos of your clothes and then browse photos of wardrobes in your area and then borrow and lend. So we kind of create local communities to share clothes. And myself and my co-founder started this 4 years ago now, but it started off really small, running like kind of swap shops. Nothing as lovely as this though, I must say. And I guess we started thinking about sustainable fashion just when we were finishing up university, and we had both gone to India the summer before, and we'd just seen the effects of the pollution from the garment industry, from the factories, and we also had the opportunity to talk to some garment workers. And I think we had spent most of our teenage years consuming fast fashion, and had just completely disassociated the items we were wearing from the people who had created them, and the resources that had gone into them. So it was kind of one of those things that once you discover the issue, you go down this like terrifying rabbit hole.
Nothing's ever good enough in the initial phase, isn't it?
So I think that kind of fear of the climate crisis and the new understanding of what people are going through to create our clothes was the driver at the start. And then I guess what drives us now is just bringing women together to share clothes and to kind of have an alternative to the fashion industry, which is often not very welcoming and not very inclusive.
Yeah, beautiful. What about you, Zinzi?
Yeah, my name is Zinzi. I'm from Holland and I worked in fashion since about 8-9 years ago. The sales part. So I always represented brands from Australia, Scandinavia, actually from all over. In the last year and a half, 2 years, I lived in New York, and the last 6 months here in London. But I will go back to New York to work in sustainable fashion. So I really made a change to connect the sales skills with a sustainable brand. Because I had the saying actually that I was a little bit sick of seeing everything produced in China and everything with like the bad chemicals in there. So I work for Met and Net, the vegan handbags and footwear. I don't know if you.
Oh yes, Met and Net. Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And since a few weeks ago I joined Swedish Stockings. So I'm a little bit new to the company. So I'm gonna try to answer all the questions.
Super. Yeah.
But yeah.
And why is sustainable fashion important to you, Zinzi?
For me, sustainable fashion, I think it's the climate change, what is very scary to read about it, and I do a little bit research about it now, so I'm reading a lot of books, and going through my closet as well, and look at the tags in your clothes and see, okay, I think it's time to make a change. So. What's happening a lot in fashion is that greenwashing at the moment. So it's so trendy, the sustainable fashion, that you see like that they're vegan or they're sustainable, and if you really look at the supply chain, if it's transparent, where do they produce, like all the details, the certificates that they have, I think it's very interesting to see, okay, who is really sustainable and who is just using it as a marketing tool.
Yes.
For me, that's important. That's why I'm very happy with Swedish Stockings. They produce in Italy, so it's not China, and all the offers that I get from other brands, I really dive into the background of the brand first. And if I see like, okay, their certificates are a little bit very old, and it's still China mass production, I try to avoid it.
Because I think that's what we as consumers find the hardest to sort of go through, see through that cobweb of information and
It's
of
very difficult.
where is it marketing and where is it genuine, and
Exactly.
and you've successfully done your research so far, so that you are now deciding your job your job
Exactly.
choices based on
Exactly.
those
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's nice to look a little bit more research. Where do they produce?
Can you give us a tip where if there is any particular website that you use to do that research? Because I think for many of us, we do find that difficult to see through the net.
Yeah, I think it's whatever they share. Like, what do they share on their websites? How is the supply chain? Do they tell you where the manufacturers are, for example? So a little bit about that. The certificates that they use. I mean, most of the certificates are trustworthy.
Okay.
And, if they communicate that, then you know, okay, there's the UTEC, there's the C1 8000. There are like multiple certificates.
Brilliant. So that's a good point to look for certificates and then sort of see if they haven't put them up, then they can.
But it's very difficult though. I think in general the knowledge has to spread through your family, your friends, and if I ask my friends if they know what is a closed loop, for instance, they actually don't know, and I feel it. Our responsibility also, it's great that you guys are here because you're actually interested in the sustainable fashion, which is already great, but try to spread it among your friends and try to spread the knowledge that you have, that you already gained, and read books about it. And you know, of course, like how further you go, how more scary it is if you read about it, but this is also the time
knowledge means responsibility.
Yeah, but to make a change.
So Ali, what about you? Why is sustainable fashion important to you? I mean, you've alluded to India and having seen it firsthand and having that emotional connection from that experience, but is there anything else in particular that makes it special and important to you?
Well, I think like fashion is something that allows us to be really creative and fun, and it's something that's really enjoyable, and we're quite passionate about, myself and Aisling. But I think it's very hard to enjoy fashion once you know where everything is coming from. I think it's absolutely insane that like there's the whole of fashion, then sustainable fashion is this really small subset, and we've created a system that's like fundamentally incompatible with our planet, and that is the default. So I guess we're kind of trying to move to a system where sustainable fashion is the norm. We don't even have to say it's sustainable. Everything should be sustainable.
Yeah, especially if you look at the ingredients, I think that's very interesting to do. If it's like the PU, the PVC, it's still oil.
Yes.
If you look at Tencel,
we forget that polyester is basically means we have oil on our bodies.
And I worked with a sustainable activewear brand for a bit, and we actually put the clothes on our body, our like skin, the largest organ. And I think it's interesting to think about it. Why do we wear plastic or polyester when we work out, for example? I mean, nobody's thinking about that. And I think this is the time that people start to be more conscious and more aware.
So if there was, from your research, from your personal experiences, from the things that you've been exposed to within this environment, within this mindset as well, what would be the one thing you'd suggest to our audience that they can implement practically, like a small change from normal consumer to mindful consumerism? You know, not something big, but something that can be consistently done in the long term, and that would not be too painful, because you know we want to make small and simple changes to keep it going in the long run. What would be your one suggestion?
I don't know if this is like a small enough suggestion that's really helpful, but I'll try. So I think it is just about changing the way you think about a garment. So it's not a disposable thing. It's like you have to just change the way you look at clothes and say, this has come from the ground, it's come from the earth, all of these resources came to create this thing, and it has to go somewhere. So thinking about the whole lifespan of the garment each time you look at it, and that, I think thinking of yourself as just a guardian for a small part of this resource's life, and then it has to go back and be rejuvenated into our ecosystem, essentially, which obviously that is a very like big mind thing, but I think we've done some work with the London Waste and Recycling Board to calculate all the carbon dioxide and water and waste that we can save through the app. And just, I think having that experience has made me just look and think about them all as resources that we are taking from the earth. That's quite a big one.
Well, it's nothing active, it's just in your head, right?
Yeah.
In that, up until that point. But what would be the active step?
The active step, I think, is I guess what you're doing today, which is reusing the clothes that we already have, that have already been produced, and we should make sure that they have a full life before they end up in landfill. So using the resources that we've already created as wisely as we can. So sharing, buying secondhand, swapping, joining the new app if you're interested, all of that kind of thing. It's really, really good. And I think it's really important to do it on this weekend, Black Friday weekend.
Yes, which is why we're here today. It's not a coincidence.
I was like, well timed.
I wonder who thought of that. So what about you? What would
I
be your
totally
small
agree. I totally agree with you. Couldn't agree more. But also the carbon footprint. Where is it produced? Does it have to come all the way from China here? Why? To buy something for like $1 or like $5. I also believe in knowledge. Spread the knowledge through your friends and family. Read about it, study, and look at the ingredients of the garment. And upcycling as well. Exactly, like if you have a wardrobe full of clothes, do you really need something else, or could you make someone else happy with it? I think the small changes of that combination, upcycling and knowledge about what's going on, travel by train instead of the plane if possible, go on bicycles, that kind of like the small, it's very hard though, and I think the more I read about it, it's also the more like, okay, are we still gonna, are we still able to make a change? But yeah, I think knowledge is key, to be honest. If I see that my friends don't know what a closed loop is, then I'm like,
do you want to explain that to anyone
So
who's
there's
wondering what you're talking about?
Yeah, so no
but
waste.
wouldn't dare to admit it.
Yeah. So no waste is left. So you're actually using the water, you're using the leftover garments. With Swedish Stockings, it's actually really nice because yesterday I spoke with the owner. I just joined a few weeks ago, but she was here in London. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today. She mentioned that they're gonna make tables out of leftover stockings, which is fantastic. They're gonna make they have an entire recycle program. So a closed loop when you have a manufacturer is actually that no waste is left. So you use everything.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and production in Europe, for example, or if you want to grow your market in the US, then it's actually interesting to have that discussion on my end with the owner. Like if it's interesting to have a manufacturer in the US as well, so you have less carbon footprint. It doesn't have to come all the way from the other side of the world.
So it's basically for the brand to take the responsibility of what happens to the garment after the consumer is finished with it, and that's often the case, isn't it? That there's production, we then consume it, if you can call
exactly
wearing clothes consumption in the first place. And then what's happening? It's a dead end, isn't it? Whereas with the closed loop, the brand that created it is then taking the responsibility and saying, bring it back, send it back to me, and we do something with it, and we take care.
So you're not adding on not more garments. The recycle part is so interesting because if you buy sustainable, but there's still a huge production behind it.
Yes.
I mean, it's fantastic already looking at the fiber and the fabrics. I mean, Tencel, all the other fabrics is very interesting to use, but still there's a huge manufacturer that is making clothes for you because you want more. I think if you look at the recycling, 97% is recycled. I think that's super interesting.
Yeah.
And again, like if something is vegan, why is it vegan? Is it PVC still from China? Is it still oil? I think that knowledge.
It's so we really have to confront ourselves with a decision as to what's important to us. Is it important to us that no animals were harmed, or is it important to us that we have a smaller carbon footprint?
Exactly.
And that's where you're coming back to having that knowledge that you say, okay, there are so many things. Can I just pick one value that's important to me? Well, I will feel better about sticking to that, and then that will already do better than not care at all. So is there any particular project or anything exciting coming up that you'd like to share with us about the brand that you work for or within the community that you know of? So something that we can support you with as well. Is there anything?
Yeah, definitely.
Go on.
So we launched our beta app in London in August, and we're still kind of recruiting new members. If anyone's interested in joining, I can send you the link. It's not completely public yet. We're launching on the App Store properly in January, but we're just trying to build it and get user feedback so it's perfect by the time we launch. So if you're interested in joining, please do. The second project that we're really excited about is we're working on making sure that our app is really diverse and inclusive, because as you mentioned at the start, the fashion industry often isn't. So we're working with Aja Barber, who is a sustainability and inclusivity consultant. And if you don't follow her on social media, you should. She's really amazing. But she's doing some work with us, running kind of events for women who are size 16 plus, to make sure that there's loads of stuff on the platform for them, and everyone feels welcome and can find something they love.
Brilliant. Oh, that's so exciting. So do make sure you go and see Ali while you're having your little drink or browse. And as you know, we have to go through the donations, so there's always something new when you look at the game. You know, you have your first round and then go and speak to these guys and then come back, because we'll have sorted through the donation that arrived today. And then there's, again, new things to try on, right? What about you, Kelly?
As I mentioned before, we are doing the recycle program. We're actually the first hosiery in the world that have the recycled yarn, but also the recycled program. So we have a really nice box, so you can actually bring back the stockings that you have that are like need repairings or they are damaged. And we're going to make tables out of it. So that's kind of exciting. We're going to launch with self-stitches, which is also, it's pretty exciting for us.
When will that be? Do we have a date yet?
It's actually in a month.
Ooh.
So it's pretty soon.
Do keep us posted.
Yeah.
So the next question then, on the back of that, is how can we get in touch with you? If obviously everybody will have a chance to chat with you personally. We kept the group very small, so you know there isn't a long queue, and you know you really can get to know each other. That's done purposefully. But how else can we? What are the links that we need to look up online to find you guys?
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram. That's probably where we're most active. We're just at the New Wardrobe, new spelled N-U. And you can also get the link from our website, which is thenewwardrobe.com as well.
Lovely.
And for us the same, also Instagram, Swedish Stockings. You can DM with any questions that you have. We also have a transparency page on the website, which is interesting to have a look at. But I think through Instagram these days, it's the fastest way to
just DM us.
connect with the marketing team. All the questions that you have.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for answering my questions.
Thank you.
And I'm now going to hand over to the audience and see if there are one or two questions that you would like to find out in this setting. Is there any? Fiona, please.
Yeah, with the stockings, the tights, can there be any tights, or do they have to be from you guys when you're sending it back? And are there any incentives for the person? Like
That's a very good
cashback
question. Yeah, for now, as far as I know, it's just Swedish Stockings.
Okay.
But I think if we're going to make tables out of it, it's super interesting to actually collect also tights from other brands. Why not? So it's a very good question. I have to find out.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, it's going to be just Swedish Stockings,
And
because we do it with our customers, so they get like a box next to the cashier, so you can actually. I will show it later. Actually, I'm just going to open it and show you pictures of the tables.
Can you get like a prescription, like for Swedish Stockings? You know, like so many per year or something. Or
Oh, how many
like,
tights to collect?
Yeah, subscription. Yeah, is that how you work it? Or
I don't know actually. I have to find out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
Just
sure about
curious,
that. Yeah, I don't know.
Am I
have to
missing
find
a
out.
hand? Or is it everyone? Yeah, Juliana.
I'm just wondering to hear your opinion about how do you think the fashion and clothing industry will kind of develop in the next 50 years? Obviously, we know that Generation Z, which is like the primary audience of fast fashion at the moment, is very like eco-friendly and is thinking quite a lot about the environment. So as these people like kind of grow over time, how do you see the trends developing, and where do you see the industries like emerging?
It's still small. I see, because I work global, so I see the trends from Sydney, Australia, from Scandinavia, London, and of course New York, LA. So a few parts of the world are very like on trend when it comes to sustainable fashion. I think they are ahead, and I think in the upcoming 10 years it will only be more. It will be more knowledge for everyone. So I definitely see that going. More brands are into sustainability these days, so, which is a good thing, but hopefully it's still on time. I have the feeling that it can speed up, can be faster. But
I think it's getting really cool, and like loads of people are really into it. But I also live in a bit of an echo chamber because everyone I talk to loves sustainable fashion. And it was the biggest Black Friday ever, which was quite sad because I didn't expect it at all. I thought it was gonna get smaller. So we still have to fight for it.
exactly, that's the thing. What I see, it's the customer, you guys, also us. We would like to have a sustainable product, but it has to be next to a really nice product. In the end, the product is the most important. It has to look nice, it has to be comfortable, and then next to that, it's a plus for us if it's sustainable. And hopefully it will go a little bit the other way around, that sustainability is number one, and then it's an extra if it looks nice as well. But for now, unfortunately, it's still the most important thing. It has to look nice.
And somebody else said something interesting at a swap recently where it was a bit of a grab and go, and you could just tell how the audience did just go in with a fast fashion mindset. So they also then looked at the sustainable pieces that were on display from a fast fashion mindset of grab and go, you know, and I think it's the whole process of slowing it down and trying something on and being more slow about this whole process of taking allowing clothes into our lives.
Yeah, that's the eco-capitalism that we're talking about. I mean, we still want to consume, we're consumers. We did it way too much.
What was another question, Sandra?
Just thinking about the fact of sustainable fashion on the back of the question about how can you see it changing? Is there something in universities or colleges which where you can go to and try and help people to adapt? Is there a line of teaching where you can get people to go into that business to adapt clothing?
To like upcycle existing.
Starting from the young, because we're
That's
talking
needed.
about generation
Yeah,
and we've
needed.
got all the
You
products
see
in
it
our
with Greta.
Yeah.
I think there are courses at university, but a lot of people say that it would have to start younger. That you know we have to bring children back to just as where they go and visit a farm to understand where the milk comes from, to then you know take them to a garment factory to make them realize actually there's not a conveyor belt and you put a bit of cotton wool in on the front and then you have a t-shirt come out at the end. It just does not work like that. It's not a car factory. So yeah, definitely lots and lots to think about. So at this point I'd like to thank you both for answering our questions and for being here today. Thank you. And that